All right, what's up, guys? Question I get asked a lot is, am I ever gonna go back to Colombia? What are my thoughts about it? Do I miss it? What do I think about love? All these things. So I just wanted to give you guys a little brief life update and talk about some of my thoughts. So number one, do I miss Colombia? It's complicated. Colombia has a very beautiful place in my heart because it was a place that I learned how to essentially be a man. I got exposed to a lot of harsh realities of the world. I got jumped, I got scammed by the real estate company and an immigration lawyer. I had the whole entire thing go down with the church and my ex-wife. But there were so many beautiful things that came from it. I've made so many great friends. I learned how to dance, how to speak Spanish. I learned the beauty of the family values of Colombia. There's a lot of things that I look back fondly, despite of all the crazy things that happened to me. And I think that's just life, right? Life is a mix of good events and bad events. I think it was the mix of both of those things that turned me into the man that I am today. I've grown a lot in the process, and I have changed my viewpoints on a lot of things based on all of the life experience that I've gone through. Well, I go back to Colombia. The only real reason that I have for going back is for doing business and tying up some loose ends that I have and finishing up the divorce. But I have to be a little sneaky about it because I don't want people knowing that I'm going back. But other than that, I don't really have any desire to go back to Colombia. At this moment, there's nothing there for me. And if I went back to Latin America, I've actually been thinking about this. I would like to go to Mexico, and then I would like to go to Brazil. I would like to go to Argentina. I would like to go to Chile, kind of do other countries now that I have the knowledge and I speak Spanish and all those things. But I've been really enjoying my time here in Asia. It makes me realize all the things that I love and I hate about my culture. I love how we are respectful. I love that Asians, we live in a service-based culture and everybody kind of minds their own business. But people are colder here, right? Like Latin people are warmer and more friendly, and they're a lot more open to hugs. There's a lot of things about Latin culture that I still, even after all that I went through, absolutely love. So what are my thoughts on marriage now after everything that I've gone through? I don't regret my marriage at all. I have nothing bad to say about my wife. All the feelings and all the love that I had for my wife was real. It was unfortunate that everything turned out the way that it did, but I think it was for the best because we were not the right people for each other. Something that I struggle with is that after going through that whole ordeal, a lot of people from the church and, some of my subscribers have said that, I put a false front up, or, I pretended to be somebody that I was not. But I don't think that's the case because I'm not a dishonest person. I've openly talked about prostitution, my abortion, everything on my channel. So why would I feel the need to lie to people about who I am when I don't do that to the world, right? So I've reflected on this a lot, and I realized that people are complex, and depending on the people that you're around, it brings out different sides of you. This last girl that I saw, it was really nice because I got to enjoy smoking with her, music, we danced together, we had a really, really amazing time together, and she brought out a side of me that I have left dormant because my wife didn't let me express that. It taught me that I was always myself with my wife. There were just certain parts of myself that I could not bring out with her for fear of judgment or rejection, or that she was gonna bring the church into our relationship, which ended up happening, right? There was a lot of things going in the back of my head. And it's not that I intentionally tried to hide these parts of myself. I just tried to avoid conflict because the consequences for conflict were extremely high. And moving forward, I've just changed my opinion on marriage because I think that as much as we like to believe in love, we still fall victim to human nature. When we have no incentive to behave correctly, for example, a lot of women in the case of marriage, once they get married, they feel like they don't need to keep themselves up anymore because if there ever was a divorce, men usually get the negative end of divorce. So moving forward, I wonder if I actually want to get married again. I think that marriage is a concept that was invented when the life expectancy of humans was 30 years, way back in the day, and we were going to war and there was all these things. And now that we live in a time of peace and humans can live up to 80, 90 years old, I don't think we know what to do with that time. Because I imagine back in the day, the timeline of a human is just like, get born, you're automatically working at around 16, 17. You get married and have babies because you don't know if you're gonna live to see your 25th or 30th birthday. And I think our generation has seen a lot of very unhappy marriages, and now we're living to 80, 90. We're still trying to figure out what to do with all this extra time and trying to answer the question of why are we here? What's the meaning of life? What's my purpose? What makes me happy, right? These are all questions that I think that our ancestors never had to deal with because they were so focused on survival. So I think we're entering into a new era now where we have to pretty much throw out all the things that we knew about love and romance and marriage, because a lot of the things that were applicable a few hundred years ago are no longer applicable today. On top of the fact that we live in the social media era, which has completely changed human nature, I would argue for the worse. We are in a transitive period right now where we're trying to figure out what to do with all this new power. I believe marriage is important for kids and family, and that works for a lot of people. But I'm trying to figure out if that personally works for me. And I think that's what life is truly about, right? It's not about following what works for humans in general. It's about figuring out what works for you personally. Because there's a lot of people, I think, and I was included, where we subscribe to what society tries to tell us is a right way to do things, but it doesn't work with us personally. That ends in divorce or unhappy marriages, which many of us have seen growing up, because we listen to society instead of listening to ourselves. And now we have a beautiful opportunity because we are allowed to think for ourselves and pick the life that we want to live. And I'm gonna spend these next few years really thinking about that idea, trying to figure out what works for me. The way that I'm approaching dating now, I've gotten plenty of opportunities. It's crazy, right? After I announced my divorce, when I was in Colombia, I had girls hitting me up. In my month and a half there, I had like 8 or 9 opportunities to be with women, and I only ended up choosing one. I'm approaching dating now as a way just to practice my relationship skills. Instead of just trying to be out there and be a man whore and sleep with a bunch of women, that doesn't interest me anymore. I only deal with women now that I'm like a 8.5 out of 10 or more attracted to. When I am with them, I'm practicing different relationship skills that I would like for the future. For example, with this last girl that I saw, I practiced how to communicate things that I didn't like. I practiced how to resolve conflict. I was practicing how to express the things that I wanted to say in a way that she would understand rather than just how I wanted to say it. Being a lot more comfortable in sharing exactly who I am and what I want from a relationship without the fear of judgment, and just being honest from the beginning. And I'm also practicing what true connection feels like. I think that with my ex-wife, even though our relationship was beautiful and I loved her a lot, I don't know if there was ever true 100% connection because we wanted different things. She was an extremely religious person and she wanted me to be that way. I believe in God. I have a strong relationship with him, but my view on religion and spirituality is a lot different. And when I was going through my marriage, I felt like I had to compromise a lot of my values because I put myself in a position where I was very dependent on her. The restaurant that I had was in her name. My apartment contract was in her name. If I said anything that was different from the way they believed, they were gonna try to take everything that I had away from me and try to hurt me. And this whole entire process has proved that that's exactly what they did. So I made a lot of mistakes in my last relationship with my ex-wife. I'm just taking it as a learning experience, taking full responsibility for it, looking to move forward and see what I can do in order to improve on my next relationship. And ultimately, every woman that I deal with now, if it ends for whatever reason, I want them to have a positive experience being with me. I think it ultimately comes from being a lot more honest with not just the person that I'm with, but with myself and what I need and what I want. My thoughts on religion have changed. I still have a pretty strong relationship with God, but something that I love about being here in Asia is that I love Eastern philosophies on religion and spirituality, because a lot of it focuses on an internal journey rather than trying to preach to other people or following the rules of a religion. Now I'm on the path where I have a strong connection with God and my relationship with him is very strong. I can still hear his voice telling me to do things. But instead of trying to follow a religion and trying to follow all of the rules of like the Bible or the Quran or the Torah, I think it's about an internal journey of finding peace and being a good person, listening to God's voice and fulfilling God's purpose for me. And I think that I've been doing that with my YouTube channel, my music and everything. I have nothing bad to say about, religion, because I think it helps a lot of people. It's just not my thing and not what I want for my life. Because I think a lot of times people are more obsessed with trying to follow the rules of the religion rather than actually being a good Christian or Muslim or X, Y, and Z. A big problem that I had with the Christian church, and now I'm still going through it with the church that I was at, is that a lot of people are so focused on judging how other people live rather than looking in the mirror and seeing how they can help themselves and improve themselves and how they can be better representatives of the faith. It's very easy to say that God has changed you or God has healed you, but you never really know if that's the truth until it comes out in a high stress situation, such as my divorce. It took an event like that for the people at the church that I was associating with to really show their true colors. And then it made me realize that, oh, this is who these people have been all along. And they've just used the illusion of religion to say that they were healed, but that wasn't true at all. I have dealt with a lot of negative emotions about it, like feeling betrayed, feeling hurt by my wife, by, the Colombian family that said that they loved me even though they came after me and sent me these threats and everything. It's so easy to say that there are red flags after you're out of the situation, but when you're in it, you love people so much that you're willing to overlook their flaws because of love, right? That's what we're taught, to accept the other people as they are for all the good things and all the bad things. And it's only now afterwards that we can say, oh, those were things that are red flags that I don't want to deal with in the future. But I don't think anybody should be ashamed for loving other people in spite of all their flaws and their red flags. I think that's just the point of love, right? Because that's what we would want and expect others to love us for. That doesn't mean that we can't continue to grow and become better humans. Love is just such a complicated thing, right? On top of the fact that social media and Disney and all these movies have portrayed love to us in a certain way that I feel is actually pretty unrealistic. Nobody really has the answers, right? We're all on a personal journey trying to figure out what our purpose is, how we want to love, what relationship works for us. That's the approach I'm going to take moving forward. I'm just going to share my experiences and not trying to convince other people that they have to follow what I believe. At the end of the day, right, my opinions are always changing, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I have strong values and ethics when it comes to my integrity, how I do business, and honesty. But when it comes to like my actual opinion, that's always changing based on the new information that I receive with my life experience. And I think that's the right way to do it, because humans were ever-changing creatures. What I thought at 25 was different than what I thought at 21. And I don't think it's right to say that you have to be married to the beliefs that you had when you were 21 for the rest of your life. Like, that just doesn't make any sense to me. It's crazy because when I was married, I felt like I had no options. I couldn't do anything. And now that I'm divorced and I'm out here traveling, it's the opposite problem. I feel like I have unlimited options, and it's very, very overwhelming. This is my dream job, right? Like, I get paid to make YouTube videos. I can't really complain about that. As fun as it is to travel and to make content, a lot of times I sit down and I think to myself, man, this is awesome, but this would be much more awesome if my wife was here. It's nice being able to share these experiences with others. Traveling is great, but when you don't have a home base or stability, it definitely feels more like I'm running from something rather than actually enjoying the travel. And I'm not trying to run, right? But now that all my stability has been stripped from under me, that feels a lot more important to me, at least right now, than all this traveling and everything that I'm doing. The grass is always greener on the other side. It's in human nature to want things that we don't have, but I think it's just the human experience, and we're all on this journey together. It's been very humbling to receive messages from subscribers saying how much my content has impacted them. Money is great, but having the impact and the influence of being able to help and inspire other people is infinitely more rewarding, at least for me, than money has ever been. That's ultimately my goal, sharing my experiences, all the good and the bad, to show that life is not black and white, it's a lot of gray. Everybody has their own struggle, and that's totally okay. If there's any recommendations you guys have in Asia to see, or in Vietnam specifically, where I'm at right now, let me know. Appreciate you all, and I'll catch y'all later. Peace out.